Good afternoon, this is Peter Towers from ESS BIZTOOls. Welcome to this webinar on utilising of ESS BIZTOOls within your accountancy business. Hope you've had a good day. I shall open the communication channel. I've opened the communication channel, so hi Kerry, I can hear you. Is that you, Kerry?
Can you hear sound coming out of that?
I'll open the communication channel so you can talk back to me. Hopefully there won't be too much noise on the line and I'll be able to hear you. So we will get started.
There's no power plug in here.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll get started, and the first thing to go to is products. As you're aware, we have a number of products within ESS BIZTOOls. The first area I want to go to is business advisory services. On the left-hand side, you have the products that have been developed to assist an accountancy business to introduce business advisory services. So there are 9 separate modules there. The implementation is an overall type summary. And then we have team training, leadership, marketing, determination of the products, the use of the SME Needs Analysis, selection of product services to be offered, a planning seminar to launch business advisory services, and some material to assist you in delivery of sales strategies.
So this is for people that are already subscribers, just reminding them how to use the program, the website.
So if you wanted to have a look at the SME Needs Analysis, you would click onto it and you would first of all receive an executive summary which summarises what's in the material. And if we download that, what we're going to get when we download is a paper, which in this case is an instruction paper to you on how to use this material to advise your clients on a particular issue. So the document we're downloading is going to be the SME Needs Analysis, which is a fairly detailed questionnaire on the type of problems the client might be experiencing. My recommendation is that you show this needs analysis to the client, in fact let them have it, so that they will probably identify some of the issues that are concerning them themselves prior to the meeting with you. So, sorry, I jumped ahead there. I'll just go back. When you download paper, this material above the double lines is yours to badge with your firm name, logo, address, and the details of how to do that are in the systems manual. The paper here is in exactly the same format as a paper targeted at an SME client. So there's 50 odd of these papers that are in the 500 series. That's 570, it starts at 500 and goes through to obviously 600. Those papers there are targeted at accountants. And you wouldn't send this to your client, but you can badge it if you wish. So in the paper it takes you through the key headings that are contained within the checklist. So it's giving you some idea of what these questions are about. There's some explanation as to what they are, so there's some comments there about benchmarking and other areas. Taxation planning, and future planning, which is raising questions with your client on things like business plans, budgets, their business value. I think it's a good idea for a business client to get them to agree to a valuation of their business each year, in particular to identify if there's any significant gap between what the client believes their business is worth, what they think it should be worth, and what you calculate. And obviously if there's a significant gap, well, that might be a project that you put in place that over the next 3 to 4 years you're going to assist the client to run their business in a different way so that the gap can be narrowed and hopefully completely eliminated, so the client might be able to sell their business for something closer to what they think it's worth. So these are the key headings that I'm just giving you an overview on now of items that are included in the checklist. I don't know whether you've looked at the checklist, but we'll go into it now. But this SME Needs Analysis covers a wide range of work. When we get to sections like this, these are all linkages to other papers within ESS BIZTOOLS, so you click on them, you'll be able to link to those other papers to get some additional information on particular subjects. So what you have on the screen now is what we call BAS, Business Advisory Services Form 017. This is the SME Needs Analysis questionnaire. Obviously you insert the name of the client and the date. First of all, you would probably want to review the current performance in the business. Are they getting all these things? Do they understand what their debtors days outstanding is?
One line, right? One line.
Is there anything on human resources, Fair Work Australia, customers, competitors, government grants? So that's an overall review of what they might be doing at present. So you'd ask the question, and what you're trying to ascertain is there any additional areas or some of those areas that the client wants you to give them a further review on, or a detailed review on. So taxation, then look at future planning. Do they have a business plan? It's interesting to note that in the CCH review on small business operations that they released in April, they have identified that the second highest problem from a small business operator's point of view was lack of a business plan. Yet many accountants I talk to have never prepared business plans for clients. Yet the SME market is saying quite clearly that they want business plans prepared. Business valuations, I mentioned that before. Expansion. What about the wealth creation areas? Is there anything in there that they're wanting you to look at? So this is a checklist to identify.
Complete there. I just
It's got to explain.
yeah. It's just, I think it's an interview
Reading
question.
them
It's
off
just,
and that's it.
yeah. I'm trying to expect
Nothing
the
excessive.
to have them read through it and understand. No.
No, it's just
What
more
about
like
the-
when you go through those
Yeah.
points.
What about the questions on their wills?
Yeah,
Stuff and explain.
In which case, against all of them, you want to say yes, no, or not applicable.
yeah, yeah.
And if it's yes, refer the attached note.
Their business improvement that needs to be done, and they need some training and leadership. So it's a questionnaire to help you identify the services that might be required by the client, so that you can go back then and give them a particular proposal. So you can go through that form at your leisure. The next area that I just wanted to look at was the on the right hand side we have the actual business advisory services product modules that are there. You can see there's quite a number of them. So we might go to Chief Financial Officer Services, because in most of the non-subscribers webinars, when you probably attended some of those, we concentrated on the cash flow management area. So again, there's a summary of what's contained within the paper first of all, and what the addendums are. So this is the paper, the instruction paper for the accountancy firm on Chief Financial Officer Services. Again, there's some general comments on how you might go about it. Then there's the needs analysis that we just went through. We won't revisit that, but obviously the needs analysis ties in with these services. Then we have a checklist for you to sit down and review with the client the type of work that you might undertake if you were offering a Chief Financial Officer Services. Internal control, what work would you do on a monthly basis? What if scenarios is the client interested in getting? Do they want budgets prepared? How often? Cash flow forecasts? Are they looking for government grant applications? Do they need risk management reviews? Capital expenditure evaluations? What about their intellectual property within the business? Do they need assistance in documenting their inventions? Who worked on them? What about the company secretary's duties for this business? Has it been appropriately undertaken? Key performance indicators? Alerting the CEO to any trend changes? Foreign exchange cover, or if they're an exporter or an importer? What about working capital review? Benchmarking reviews? Both to the ATO and other sites like benchmarking.com. Valuation of the business? Research and development, are they undertaking it? If so, is it properly documented? If so, have they registered with Oz Industry by the 30th of April the following year or before they lodge the company's tax return? Are they looking for assistance in any specific area? And we've listed them there. So a Chief Financial Officer Services could take a wide range. There's some suggestions on some of the items that you might consider. We'll have a look at this form also because it's a form that's similar in each of these business advisory services area. It's a form to assist you with the preparation of a budget to undertake business advisory services type work. We included that because a number of accountants told us when we did surveys they were a bit unsure of how to do this. So that's a suggested. You obviously can put your own in there. You don't have to use our template if you don't wish to. But it's looking at some of the areas that you might be going to work on in undertaking ongoing Chief Financial Officer services for the client so that you can get an idea of what the hours that you're going to be working on this are so that you're able to determine an annual contract with the client to supply those sort of services. When you go through and list it like this, there's a whole range of things that can be done. Then you look at the normal compliance work. You may wish to include that as well. Most people would, although you might offer the CFO services as a completely separate standalone task, not including any compliance work. That's up to you. We have in the system a mention of a gold package of bundled services or a silver package. You might want to guide in that. Obviously, what you're going to determine is your total hours, and you can put some charge out rates. Determine if you're going to put a super profit into it, the outlays, and determine a fee that you're going to charge the client, which we're suggesting you would then propose that they pay you in monthly payments. So hopefully that type of form would help. And as I said, there's a similar form in each of the business advisory services modules. There's a work program timetable to help you in deciding when some of this work's going to be done. Obviously not all of it's going to be done every month. Some is quarterly, half-yearly or annual type work. So you can allocate it into the months that best suit you and your client for you to undertake that work. So there's one of these forms in each of the business advisory services modules. Then there's a proposal form. Again, it's a template. You can change it. You can write your own, but it's there if you wish to use it. Just make sure you carefully read it and add out anything that you're not going to do, and obviously add in any other things that you are going to do. Because offering CFO type services to a small medium enterprise is a fairly broad piece of paper, and you need to think through and allocate what you're going to be working on. One of the areas that I'm going to update in this next week is making a bit more emphasis on cost review following the CCH report, because for the first time that I can remember in the SME surveys that universities and IOB in particular have been undertaking, I've never seen such a high rating on cost control. The CCH report claims that that's the most important aspect of small business management according to SMEs, and the accountancy firms that they interviewed as part of the process rated it about number 3. So I can't recall seeing such great emphasis on cost control in the past in these surveys, so it's obviously something that's occurring out there in the marketplace now, today. So we will be including that in there as one of the services you might have. So there's an engagement letter that's got quotation and how you're going to be paid to include that summary in there. I'll just open up the communications again if any of you have got any questions. So is there any question on business advisory services at all? I don't know whether you can hear me. If there are any questions, can you either ask me when I open up the communication channel, which I have at present, or type in the question and in the webinar terminology, raise your hand so it comes through to me, and I will answer it as we're going through. The next area that I wanted to go into then would be mentoring and coaching. Mentoring and coaching is there to assist in supplying a range of services for a client to better educate them. So I'll just download. So there are 13 modules there covering different aspects . I've got a question here which I'll come back to in a minute about an index, but I'll just finish mentoring and coaching first. When you go into mentoring and coaching, and we've gone into here what we're calling experience management, there are a series of suggested mail outs or email outs, and in this case there's 10 of them. Of course, experience management, we're saying this is a very well-established business, probably turnover $2.5, $3, $4 million, been in operation for a while, well run, and what you're trying to do is to really take them to the next level. Has been quite an outstandingly run small medium enterprise. So I think one of the challenges that accountants have got is that we need to educate the client on the type of services that can be provided. So I'm going to download the first series, which has only got one paper in it, but it's a pretty important paper. And that's the characteristics of a well-run business. So what we're going to get in this download is a cover letter to go with the material and a survey form. So here's a suggestive letter which you could place on your letterhead, and you're telling the client that you're sending them a number of series. The first one's just on one paper, some of the others have got 6 or 7 papers in them. You can edit that, of course, or develop your own, and with every series mail out there's a survey form. You would badge that with your name and logos across the top, and you're asking the client to rate what they thought of this particular mail out. Now in this case there's only one paper mentioned because that's all we're sending, but in some of the others there's going to be 7 or 8 papers listed there for them to comment on. And the questions are also asking, is there anything else that they'd like to discuss with you? Now our recommendation is that a client officer or a admin person contacts the client about 5 days after this material has been sent to them. It will be a prompt to the client if they haven't already done so to read it, but also what the officer should be asking them is there any points or matters you wish to discuss with an accountant, and I'll make an appointment for you. Because unashamedly you're using this information to try to, well, this paper, to try to educate the client in various aspects of how your business can help them succeed in their business. Then we also then have the paper itself, so it's in here. There's no chance of the wrong paper, so you'd badge it at the top, and you have the actual paper on characteristics of a well-run business, which is there for you to send the client. So it can't be mixed up. It is also linked to other papers if you wish to go there. There's also a set of PowerPoint slides. We included them because some people wanted them in this mentoring and coaching. It's up to you whether you send these to the client or not. It might be advantageous if the client's got a number of people involved with them they want to discuss some of these issues with. But they're there if you need them. It's really up to you whether you send them to the client or not. So mentoring and coaching is trying to educate the client into the business, commercial services an accounting firm can provide, and to better educate them. I believe one of the problems that the profession has had over the last 30-odd years, there hasn't been much communication with the SME market from the Institute or the CPAs as to what services other than taxation and audit that accountants can provide. So to get the client to agree to go from $2,000 to $3,000 a year to a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 fee, I believe you have to educate the client in what some of these services are all about. So that's the mentoring and coaching. We'll just go back to the... So you'll see that in future weeks, if you made these series mail-outs weekly, there's a whole range of additional information going to the client that hopefully is going to better educate them, and hopefully you'll get some real inquiries about work coming from them. So I'll open the communication back up. Has anyone got any questions on client mentoring and coaching? Now I've had a question be sent through to me, an index to the web page would be great. Well, if you go back to, I think this will explain how it all works. First of all, if we go back to how it works, we have this chart here which is explaining what the breakup of the products is between business advisory services, business plus client mentoring leadership. We have the papers themselves, which we'll come to shortly, and the seminars, and there's also client forms and with client tool forms. And if you wanted to go back to another index, back on the home page, how it works, what's in ESS BIZTOOls, these areas here all link to the various components. So if I click on Business Advisory Services, it's taking you through to there, so you can view what's in Business Advisory Services. If you wanted to
We just have to spend some time to get our heads around it.
if you want to go to Business Plus, you can go to there, and if you wanted to have a look at the leadership modules, there's the leadership modules, which I'll talk to you a bit about later on. So, and then the papers themselves are under the 480 papers and PowerPoints. There's the sections. And if you want to have a look at what's within a particular section, you just click on the name of the section, and then you have the name of the papers that are within that section, which in this case was family businesses. So
You need to start looking here and then go and see if we've downloaded it and formatted it.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see.
generally, though, when I'm using the product, I always go to products first, because from products you can access any other, you can access all the components of ESS BIZTOOLs. So the next one we'll go to is leadership modules. The leadership modules are presented in a slightly different way. They have been developed by a separate business, Leadership Academy, headed up by Peter McDougall. He's an ex-colonel in the Army who's been running Leadership Academy. Most of their work had been done for government and big business, and I convinced Peter to write a series for small businesses that could be facilitated by accountants. So there's the 8 modules that are there. If you want to have a look at a module, you just click on the name of it, and it will take you to an executive summary, and then you can download the Facilitators guidance. And obviously I hadn't logged in. So what we're downloading here is the Facilitators guidance for teams and teamwork. It has a set of PowerPoint slides that come with it, and there's also a separate printout or separate document for the attendee, the SME or whoever you're conducting this training for, to be handed. So that's where you access the leadership material. It is all linked. Whenever any of these blue items appear, they are linked to other areas. Peter McDougall is contactable by telephone or on email, and he is very happy to receive questions on any aspect of the leadership material. He has done consulting work for some of the subscribers to ESS BIZTOOLS in their own offices for some of their clients. I seem to have a computer problem here. Just bear with me a moment, thanks. Okay, if we go back to products now, the next area I just wanted to mention was Business Plus. This is our newsletter. We'll have a look at the May one. So the newsletter is uploaded to our website on the second Friday of each month, about 12 noon Queensland time. You receive an executive summary, like it's up there now. We'll download it, and the newsletter is then in a situation where you can either send it to your clients in the format that we send it to, or make whatever changes you wish to make to it. Obviously when you receive it, it's going to have ESS BIZTOOLS on it, remove ESS BIZTOOLS, put your own logo and firm name, and edit if you wish, add material to it if you wish. Obviously you're then responsible for whatever's included, but if you ever have any thoughts on items to be included in the newsletter, can you please let me know? Send them through and I'll try and write something on it. Because sitting here every month trying to work out what to write on can become a bit difficult at times. So this is what I'm referring to here. You remove our name, ESS BIZTOOLS. It's only put there so that when this newsletter is circulated through offices, accountants' offices, they know where it's come from. You put your own there, and we always have an editorial type article to start with, trying to look at the economy and what might be happening in there for small business. But throughout the newsletter, every end of every article, we have a call to action, if you like. We're asking the client, in this case, if they've got any problems about their budgets or cash flows or business management strategies, to please contact us. And obviously at this stage that's got your names on it, so that's how they'll become contacting you.
And the 2 years have been doing it.
Yeah.
Survival in difficult times.
Yeah.
We just had an article on that. And again it's saying if you've got any problems, come and talk to us. And then there's general articles. Know your unique position. What's it mean? Grants for SMEs, well, that one's come and gone. That was a private industry one. Cost control. All areas where we're trying to assist in generating some thought from the client that maybe they should come and talk to you about this, and that's what their final paragraph's asking them to do. Marketing for SMEs. An action plan for 30th of June, so most of the information in the June newsletter is going to be about action plans prior to the 30th of June or early in July. Last month we talked about planning for sales in the next fiscal year. This edition we've looked at cost control, some cash flow management, and we'll look at the rest of the items we want to cover in the June newsletter. We always have a bit of an article on some of the accountancy jargon. This one was on knowing break-even helps. And again, it says if you want to help on calculating break-even, come and talk to us. This area here, attention accountants, the whole idea there is to give you some reference material, some additional reading on an item that's been discussed in the newsletter, so that if you have any questions, or you get a client ringing you about something and you want a bit more information, you can read that. Our suggestion is, pardon me, don't send that out like that to the client. Delete that first, put your own message there. It might be something about a seminar or a webinar you're running. It might be some additional services. It might be someone's won a Business of the Year award or something like that. So that's the newsletter. You can read past editions of the newsletter if you like. I'll show you where they are. There they all are there. So we're in our 7th year of the newsletter. We go back to 2010 on the site. If you want to access any of those, just click on them and you'll get those newsletters. And obviously there's some articles in there which don't age. That you might want to use within your firm. You're quite at liberty to do so. So I'll just open up the communications channel again. Is there any question on the newsletter? The next area I wanted to go to, the small business advisory package is material we've prepared for small business training organisations, and so that's for them. We also have seminars, So if you want to run a seminar or a webinar, there are 35 seminars, webinars. After each name, there's a bracket, number of sessions, and how many hours, which suggests you run that seminar in. So this one here is obviously 5 sessions of 3 hours. Some firms are using that material. They've been running training sessions, one session a week, over 5 weeks. But the most popular seminars are the 1 hour seminars, and they're the ones that are numbered 1,000 onwards. So they're there. So if you wanted to have a look at Profitmaking Seminar, you can see it's going to cover 2 areas: what makes a business successful and strategies for making profits, and who can assist small business operators. So we'll download that. And what we have done with the seminars, webinars, is each of them are contained within their own separate module, so that there's no chance of turning up at to run a seminar and having the wrong material. It's all been compartmentalised into a separate module, including the generic material. And by generic material, we're meaning items which are used in each seminar. And then there's the variable items, of course. So there's a form that has general hints on running a seminar that you might find of use. And it's in every seminar package. There's an explanation of that checklist to give you a better idea of what we meant anyhow, and hopefully to enable you to use the material. So that's the generic material. There's multi-seminar registration forms, venue booking, invitation to keynote speakers. Then we come down into the items that are for this specific seminar. So we've got a news release which you would personalise with your details, who said what from what firm, and send it to the local media. Now I have trouble getting it run in the Courier Mail or the Sydney Morning Herald, but there are 3 newspapers in all the cities, and there are in the regional and country areas, of course, there's a lot of media, newspapers, radio, TV. So that within each of these modules then is the papers that we're suggesting be utilised in this seminar or webinar. So as I said earlier, there's no chance of getting the wrong material. It's there. You would badge it with your name. If you're going to hand these out to the attendees, you'll have the information to do so without running off trying to find it from anywhere else. And for each for each paper within a seminar, there's a set of PowerPoint slides. So they're prepared. You can put your logo on them, and it's ready to go to whoever's going to run the seminar to have a look at it and to utilise within the presentation. And there's the other papers that are there, so strategies for making profits is there as a paper, so together with its PowerPoint slides. They're all there ready for use with your client. So that's how the seminars, webinars work. There's a wide range of material there ready to be used. So is there any questions on seminars or webinars? I'll open up the lines again so I can hear you. Okay, we'll move on. The last area, last but not least, is ESS Papers. Now this is where the papers are filed, and those, obviously what we're doing in all this, we originally developed papers about 10 years ago, and then we've continued to expand them into products. The first range of products was seminars, then come mentoring and coaching, then come the newsletter, and business advisory services is the latest material that we've developed to follow the ongoing development of this product. So these are all the section headings. The sections through to 270 are all for papers targeted at small, medium enterprises. So there's 480 of those papers. Some of them are only 1 or 2 pages. Others might be 30 or 40 pages, just depends what the subject is. So if you want to identify or read a paper, you click on the name of the paper and you receive a brief summary, précis, of what's in the paper. You can download that if you say that's what I might want to give this particular client. So one of the key aspects of this is you've talked to a client this morning and you've been talking to them about break-even, and you realise the client doesn't know much about what break-even's all about. You're then able to print it off, badge it with your name on it, and I wouldn't actually give it to the client, I would send it to him, because if they just see you print something off, they might not connect the value to it, because you could then send it to the client and he's got a paper or she's got a paper that they can read, which hopefully gives them a bit more understanding of what that subject was. So they can discuss it with their business partner or their life partner or spouse and get an understanding of how some of these things are calculated. If you want to look at the papers that have been developed targeted at accountants, these are the papers in the 500 series. So if we go to section 500, there's papers there on looking at a wide range of matters. So if you want to look at fixed price agreements for accountancy firms, there's a summary there. You can download that. There's a sample of a fixed price agreement included in this material. You probably don't need to badge this paper unless you're just badging it for your internal use. But there's the paper which discusses the whole concept of fixed price agreements. Some people still like term sheets, some people don't. We just discussed it there, why use them. I think as firms get more and more into business advisory services, there's going to be a lot more use of fixed price agreements and quotations, because I don't think the small business market will accept accountants just being able to charge on a time basis for some of these other services. Before they commit, they will want to know what it's going to cost them. And I think that is totally reasonable from the SME's point of view. So there's some notes there on what you might include in a fixed price agreement. And we have some checklists which I'll just go through to show you. So these are some of the things you might consider that you're going to specifically mention in a fixed price agreement. Doesn't mean you're going to include the lot, but they're there as a checklist to prompt you to say, oh yeah, we should put some of that in there. And you can obviously go through and look at all this at your leisure. Then there's a sample, a template of a fixed price agreement. One of the key things in all this is to cover any unanticipated services or extra services. Make sure you include a clause like that in any agreement, I think, to make sure you're not caught out. So that's a suggestion on how you might go about that. So you can see there when you look at it here, there's an extensive list there. You might want to look at from compliance to business advisory services, which is really a prediction of what's happening in accountancy firms. And that paper is currently being updated to include the material that's now being produced by Deloitte on the digital disruption. Interesting report whereby they're forecasting some fairly big upheavals in professional services, which obviously includes accounting firms in the next 2.5 years. Then the CCH report on small businesses. And then the webinar that CCH conducted with Proactive Accountants earlier in May, which really forecasts some significant problems.
I want that one. Oh, no, it's for businesses, because I was seeing within long tonight, switching client to investment readiness. Yeah, she wants to invest. Yeah, she wants to get some shares and support her property.
So it's a business coaching area. And I wanted to get into and in 570 there's a whole series of matters relative to getting ready for business advisory services, and you'll notice there's a number of webinar recordings that are available on YouTube if you wish to listen to any of those. So in summary, what you have as part of your subscription to ESS BIZTOOLS is access to business advisory services, client mentoring, leadership, business plus, the ESS papers and the client seminars. So that's, and the tools, and there's a number of video tutorials that are available by clicking through this website onto YouTube.